Viktoria Dönke aus Deutschland, Julia Erlach aus Österreich, Amy Clark aus Kanada, Valentina Magaglio aus Italien, Freya Tabit aus Großbritannien, Nicole Woche.
Oi, Matze, Job!
Offizielle Bahrzeit 14:43, official track time 14:43. In 2 minutes we'll start to pilot sets and Winterberg from the Netherlands. Hallo, die Spurtwettbewerb von Winterberg aus den Niederlanden. Eine Minute noch bis zum Start des ersten Spurschlittens. 1 minute before the first pilot set.
Winterberg in Germany on a snowy Friday, the first weekend of sliding in 2025. See just over the bridge there, just over the horizon. That's the Olympic Games, that is. They are coming and coming at us fast. So race 6 of the IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup in Winterberg, Germany is going to be just as important as every other before we get to Milan Cortina. In the first heat, we've got an entertaining battle shaping up. 200s ahead of Jackie Pfeiffer, a 2-time winner on this track. In third place is the US slider Mystique Rowe. Off a 4th quickest start, she drove herself into medal contention. 800s ahead of the American, 100th out of gold. Amelia Coltman, a winner already this season. She claimed victory from 14th in a topsy-turvy, crazy race where the track melted away in Pyeongchang, Korea. Could she do it again here? Answer, she quite possibly could, but she'll have to beat this woman, Janine Flock of Austria, the most experienced slider in skeleton history in her 110th World Cup race alone. She is looking for World Cup podium number 40, and what better way to take it than with a gold. So here's how they finished the first heat. Janine, a whisker ahead of Amelia Coltman and Mystique Rowe, similarly just in front of Jackie Pfeiffer. A tie for fifth, Anna Fernstedt and Hannah Neisser ahead of three-time winner here, Kimberly Boss. And there are more ties further back. A tie for 11th, a tie for 19th place in our top 25. And in 25th place, Song Si-ji, the rookie this season from China. She will be the first off as we go 25 down to 1 in the second heat. Just missing out, Data Zonta, Nicole Berger, Elaine Peltmans and the rest will be watching trackside. So who's going to come out on top? Well, a four-time winner on this track is watching the action this weekend. Tina Hermann, in fact, I said four-time, I mean actually only two-time winner on this track, Tina Hermann, incredibly. But the four-time world champion is here watching the action with us. Tied with Janine Flock on 39 World Cup medals over her career. She has 4 World Championships ahead of Janine at the moment. There's Kimberly Boss, a three-time winner on this track. Song Si-ji and Xiao Dan there from China, both in our field, as is Li Yuxi. Katie Uhlaender, a winner here in 2006-7, goes off second. Suzanne Crair, the 23 world champion, goes off third. 25 down to 1 in our second and deciding heat. Victoria Dernicker, the World Cup skeleton rookie, a former two-time World Cup starter in women's bobsleigh, in the middle of the field for Germany, and Janine Flock will go last. Race 6, IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup in Winterberg in Germany. Second heat gets underway with Song Si-ji of China in 25th place after the first run off the 25th fastest start. Let's see what she's got for us in the second heat. A 5:59 getaway to get things underway, 100th quicker than her first heat. Well, in the morning's men's race, there was lots of snow in heat 1. It cleared away a bit in heat 2. They sped up considerably. Athletes going between 3, 4, sometimes even as many as 7 tenths quicker than their first runs. But the conditions look fairly similar here in heat 2. Of course, the only people who know what it's actually like, well, there's only one person at the moment, and that's this woman, Song Si-ji. She's the only person who currently knows what the track is doing in Heat 2, and she's having to work it out as she goes down. And she can't tell anybody else either, because it'll be different for all of them. A little bit more skatey and skiddy than her first run. 59.33 first heat becomes 60.18 second heat. It did look that way, didn't it? So a slower second run. That's not normally the way it goes. Normally, first on the ice gets a fresh spritz, a little bit of track preparation. You can see so much of the snow has been brushed away, swept away, blown away by the snow blowers. Maybe just too little grip, too much speed for her to really adjust. And for the younger sliders, the less experienced sliders, those adjustments are really the hard thing. Changing track, you've got to chase it all the time. Well, she'll be no lower than 25th. Next up, Katie Uhlaender from the USA, second most experienced World Cup slider in the field. She's actually been going longer than Janine Flock, but has been in and out on a couple of occasions of World Cup action because she's been doing other sports or recovering from injuries. 5.60 start, 5.63 in the first heat for Katie Uhlaender. Out of one down into curve 2. Curve 2 now the third corner on the track, because there's a curve before curve 1 called 0, or not called anything technically. Corkscrewing down through 5. Build up speed fast in corner 5, which is why athletes kind of veer up high towards the exit. Better speed than Song Si-ji into the Kreisel. Little late flop. Again, having to adjust her lines and steer earlier or later, harder or less, depending on how the track is compared to the first heat. 1.1 seconds up on the Chinese slider. Good second heat from Julenda, 59.20, 59 dead in the first run. But she went 1.3 seconds quicker than Song Si-ji. And she only had 35 hundredths in hand over her from the first heat. So is the track more as Katie has demonstrated it, or more as Song Si-ji has demonstrated it? Katie Julenda not as quick as her first run. She looked like she had a little more control. Next up, Susanne Kreher. You don't expect to find any German slider in 18th place in Winterberg. That's where she is, so first out of the start shed was not a beneficial draw for her, nor indeed for Axel Jung in the men's race. He finished about top 12 after his run, but was absolutely incensed that he'd been held at the start for so long and the grooves were full of snow, opted to go again. Not a great call, ended up in 19th place, and then had to fight his way back to finish 11th. Well, Susanne, 23rd after the first of our two heats. 5:43. Not sure we've ever seen her 23rd in a World Cup heat of any kind. 2023 Women's Skeleton World Champion in St. Just goes to show that everybody can have an off day. Choose the wrong equipment, make the wrong steers, just not find the rhythm, even on the track they know well. From 2/10 over Julenda at the start, out to 4/10. And she does know this track well. All the German sliders do. They now only really use two tracks, Winterberg and Altenburg, until Koenigsee's reopened. So they spend a lot of time here. 58.72. Well, that's a quarter of a second better than her first run. That's more like it, but it's only the 17th best run of the day so far. She's the 40th sled down. Not a good day at the office for Susanne Kreher. And do you know what? Nothing empirically awful, disastrous or wrong about the drive lines, about the steer. Just did not get the calls right on equipment. And that is part of the game. You know, in motor racing, if you choose a wet tyre when you needed a slick or a slick when you needed a wet, then you're completely off the pace and out of the park. And here you don't get the chance to make a pit stop and swap. Alessandra Fumagalli, 6th fastest start, 22nd at the bottom. Now she normally outstarts her driving result. She needs more ice time to improve on that. Got a little bit much of the zero kink of a 5:38 start, exactly the same as her first heat. She is powerful off of that starting block. And the more she does this, the less of that, the less skids, the less little sideways drifts, the fewer tap with the wall. All of that speed is going to start to stay in the sled. But as of now, from 700ths ahead of Susanne Kreher, she's 900ths back. Katie Julenda in second place at the finish line, 51 hundredths back. So she should still be in second place. Susanne Kreher has begun her climb up the order. She will pick off Alessandra Fumagalli, who comes across the line in second on a 59.06. 1100 slower than her first heat.
Next starter will be Sarah Roderick from USA. Also nächste Starterin aus den USA, Sarah Roderick.
So Alessandra Fumagalli slips a spot. Suzanne Crayer still holds on, but Fumagalli, as an awful lot of athletes would pay to have her start. Hard onto the zero curve. Need to try and steer just a little bit around the belly of it more if you can.
See you next race.
Next race for the skeleton athletes will be next week in beautiful St. Moritz. Next up, Sarah Roderick for the USA, 6th fastest starter, exactly identical start time to Alessandra Fumagalli. 300ths quicker at the bottom of the track. I beg your pardon, 100th quicker at the bottom of the track. 5:36 outstarts her rival. Young fan there with a Francesco Frigic beanie hat on, rainbow stripes. Meanwhile, Sarah Roderick just dipping behind Suzanne Crayer. Well, her advantage was slender over Crayer, only 300ths of a second from the first heat. And only 100th ahead of Alessandra Fumagalli. So this is a really tight little battle. She's not winning it though, dropping behind Crayer and Fumagalli. Third at the line ahead of teammate Katie Uhlaender for Sarah Roderick. So third place with 20 to go. 59.22. 2600ths slower than her first run, so the track is not as quick as it was. Well, not a bad looking run. Sarah Roderick just didn't have the speed lower down. Suzanne Crayer leads from Alessandra Fumagalli, and Sarah Roderick ahead of Katie Uhlaender. So we had 3 US athletes in a bunch. Sarah Roderick ahead of Katie Uhlaender, and now Kelly Curtis. Kelly tied for 19th with Belgium's Kim Marmans. 15th fastest starter. Her start speed is returning, Kelly Curtis. About 13 months after giving birth to her daughter, 5.50. And the IBSF putting in a rule a few years ago to allow returning mothers 12 months grace before they start to lose any World Cup rankings or IBSF rankings. So if you are a World Cup qualified slider before you have a year off to have a child, and you return with that same qualification. Third best speed, just 400ths behind Suzanne Crayer. Doesn't look quite as neat and tidy, but is some of that down to just the personal style? No, the sled is skidding underneath her. It's not following her head, it's drifting sideways off a lot of these turns, and that's just dragging speed out of it. 59.18. So again, she drops behind Suzanne Crayer, drops behind Alessandra Fumagalli by 300ths as well. She is, however, the top US slider here. Katie Uhlaender, third of the US sliders, Sarah Roderick second, Kelly Curtis first of the sliders from the USA. Well, they're in the Kreisel, big waves, and that's covering more ice. It's also that centrifugal force that pushes you up. That energy comes out of your sled. That's what carries you up, the energy that's in the sled. And it's not pushing you forward, it's pushing you sideways. If you can imagine trying to run and somebody's pushing you sideways.
Thanks for watching.
Oopsie. Where is your baby? She was watching on the far side in the first heat. She'll be there at the finish, right beside the best bratwurst stands in the business. Next up, Kim Marmons of Belgium. Well, again, don't expect to find her down here battling with Suzanne Creyer in the lowest reaches of the top 20. They should be duking it out for podium spots, but not every day is the perfect day. 5:35 getaway. First heat, 5:52. So an enormous improvement at the start. And that's going to make a big, big difference, because this woman knows how to drive. She's got what it takes to get into the medals. A race winner this season in Altenburg in Germany. She is a product of the German program, started in the German program. 2800s up. She's building, creeping away from Suzanne Creyer. Not by much. I mean, it's not going to get her a medal, but it is going to get her the lead. 1:26.1, best speed all the way down. And across the line, 58.52, 3400s better than her first heat. Well, that would have left her in 11th place after the first heat. Lots of Belgian fans here this weekend, lots of Dutch fans here as well. So lots of Leuven. Richard Bromley, I'm sure, will have had some thoughts on changes to the setup of the sled. You can't change the runners between heats. What you chose, what you prepped the night before, that's what you're committed to.
Nice next time.
That's the weather. If you want perfect conditions, you've got to stay being a sprinter in the summer, and even then it sometimes rains in Diamond League meetings. But in the winter, everything is in the lap of the gods. Is there a Nordic god of snow? I'm sure there must be. Next up, answers on a postcard, I haven't got time for that. Alessia Crippa of Italy, 10th fastest starter, 18th at the bottom. .5:36 getaway, 5:39 in the first heat. So finding a little bit more in the start area. That's a little bit closer to the sort of starts we expect from Alessia Crippa. Nice and quiet so far. And actually sled looking a lot more like it's following her rather than the other way round. Little late, but again, no big skids. 4th best speed. She's not going to maintain her position ahead of Kim Marmons. Will she be ahead of Suzanne Creyer? No, she won't be. Should be 3rd place at the line for Alessia Crippa. Still with 17 to go, so it'll be a 20th place finish, no worse. 59.06. So over 2/10 slower than her first heat. Track not as quick as it was. Well, it's been a bizarre day weather-wise. Lots of snow, not so much snow, more snow, less snow. Clear sunny conditions in the first heat. It's clouding over a little now in the second. And all of those atmospheric changes. Hey, listen, if they can change a racetrack like Daytona that's 2.5 miles long, they can certainly change a 1,300-metre sheet of ice. What they don't do is wipe the smile off your face. Well, not all the time anyway. Liu Shi of China, start draw number 30. Not necessarily always the most favourable, but she responded to the challenge. 2 top 15 finishes so far, her best results of this season. Seventh place in Beijing last year. The first return after the Games is her World Cup best ever. 500 slower at the start in his second run, and immediately dropping behind Kim Marmans. So close was the battle. Marmans was a 10th behind, but outstarted her by 800ths. Ooh, having a steer there as well on the exit of 5. 5 always causes problems. I know the coaches always spent a lot of time there because of the very handy waffle stand, but it is a real key corner. Heading down, out of 11, into the lower labyrinth, whipping through 12 and 13, and 14, 5th best speed. 3rd at the line behind Suzanne Kreher. Yes, Lee too slips a couple, and Kim Marmans remains our leader. 59.05 for Lee Yuxi, so she adds 100th to her first heat advantage over Alessia Crippa. Alessia Crippa came down 100 slower, but neither of them maintain their position in the top 20. Both drop a couple. So Kim Marmans and Suzanne Kreher, both athletes you would have said, just looking at the timing sheet with no idea what had happened, what happened to them. They're both definitely out of place at the bottom of the top 20, and they are changing that back up, at least as much as they can. Last minute strip off at the line for China's Chao Dan. Keep the heat in the muscles as long as possible. 16th at the start, 16th at the bottom for Chao. World Cup best result, silver medal. That was in Beijing this season, 5:48 getaway. And on her day, again, you would say, in fact, on most days, you would say 16th place. Probably a little lower than you'd expect to find her. $1,600s back. She too is going to drop behind Kim Marmans and probably Suzanne Kreher as well. Dan in her 22nd World Cup race. Marmans her 65th. There's that experience difference. Across the line, 59.22. It didn't look wildly out of control, but it wasn't fast enough. Maybe the setup chosen for slightly different conditions, maybe slightly warmer, maybe slightly cooler, who knows. But whatever, didn't really work for her in this second heat, and she drops 4 spots. 5th place with 15 to go. It'll be a top 20 finish for Chao Dan, but no better than that necessarily. That might just be her worst result of the season. At the moment it is, unless several others have a catastrophe. Previously 17th in Altenburg, her worst. Kim Marmans the leader after the first 10 sleds, 15 still to go here in Winterberg. Top 15, race 6 of the IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup, Winterberg in Germany. Second and deciding heat, Great Britain's Tabby Stoker, 15th place. Current leader is Kim Marmans, who finished 900ths behind her in the first heat, down in 19th position, but the gaps here on this track are traditionally so tiny, everything makes a difference. 5:29 first heat, 5:32 second heat. Still with a slender advantage over Marmans, 2300ths of a second. But Kim was exceptionally clean at the bottom of the track. And Tabby Stoker is going to have to be the same. Lead is shrinking though, 23 to 1300s, only the 7th best speed. Marmans was quickest out of the Kreisel. 400s back. Gap first to second is 0.3 of a second. At the moment, Tabby Sturker is going to slip one behind Kim Marmons. Fourth best speed, should be enough for second place at the line, and it is. So it looks like lots of friends and family have made the New Year trip to Winterberg. It's relatively easy, relatively cheap to get to. Plenty of places for accommodation. And some good pubs and bars and clubs to enjoy New Year's Eve in, if you're not an athlete. If you are an athlete, it'll be a quiet one. Or it was a quiet one.
Hi everyone at home, Happy New Year, thanks for watching.
You can see the love of what they do from all these athletes. So, next up, Jane Channel takes on Kim Marmons. Now, with every slider, the gap that they have over Kim Marmons just grows a tiny little bit more. 15 hundredths of a second in front, Jane Channel. She needs to improve on her first run if she's going to maintain that, because Marmons was quicker. 5:39 start compared to 5:36 in the first heat. Fifteen hundredths in front, so surviving on her first heat advantage only now. And that gap will come down. Still in the green in the Kreisel, but below it, possibly not for much longer. 600s up as she gets into 9. Is she going to find enough at the bottom? 400s up. This could be very close. Only the 9th best speed. Marmons was fastest. She's not going to hold on. She doesn't. Very close. Kim Marmons learned all the German tricks of Winterberg in her formative years and has not forgotten them. A nice looking exit. Watch the way the runners come straight. No skids. And again here down in 11. Nice even parabola around the corner. Great trajectory.
See you guys next week.
Yes, indeed. In beautiful Samaritz. Nobody hates going there. Now then, Victoria Dernicker, World Cup rookie and also not. So making her World Cup debut as a skeleton slider, an under-20 junior world champion in women's bobsleigh with Kim Kilicki. She made her World Cup debut with Kim Kilicki in women's bob as a brakewoman, and also slid in the World Cup with Lara Nolte. But as a skeleton slider, it's her debut today, 5:20, and she is in with a shout of a top 10 finish potentially. It is so close on this track. First job, obviously, is to try and dispose of Kim Marmons, and she's just holding that advantage. 3rd best speed. Marmons was not quickest in the Kreisel. She's been quicker all the way down the bottom though, but 4/10 in hand is 3/10 in hand. 1/3 of a second up, only the 8th best speed. What is going to be bigger? The time she's got in her back pocket or the ice distance to the finish line? 1900s, only 11th best speed. Is it enough to take the lead? It is enough to take the lead. From Halle, not too far away from Winterberg, Victoria Dernicker overhauls a former race winner this season, Kim Marmons, on her skeleton debut. Now, is she going to change disciplines again and come back as a bobsled driver? That might be a little bit of a tough ask. Mind you, it's not easy getting into the German skeleton team either. Let's make that very clear. Well, good run from Victoria Dönecke, Team Lauren-Alter. There you go. Now then. There are some really interesting stories today, and a couple of them, 3 of them potentially, surrounding Austrians. Benny Meyer, silver medal, his best ever result after leading the first heat in the men. What about Julia Erlacher? 4th fastest start. Could she get a top 10 finish here? Tied for 11th in the first heat. 5:35, another really good start. Victoria Dönecke, though, started 5:20. Dönecke was the fastest starter in Heat 1, fastest starter again in Heat 2. So Julia Erlacher, from a slower start, now has to outdrive a German slider on a German track. While Erlacher might have got maybe another season of ice sliding under a belt in skeleton, I reckon that Vicky Dönecke has probably got more experience at this track, and Erlacher not quite closing the gap enough, from 2500s down to 2/10, down to 1300s. 4th best speed, not sure that's enough. Think Dönecke holds it, she does. Now Victoria Dönecke might have a little experience of being in the leaders box with Kim Kielicki and Lauren-Alter. In her 2 previous World Cup outings, she finished 6th on both occasions. So it may well have been that they were briefly in the leaders box. I wonder how long she will be. But Julia Erlacher, 3rd place behind Kim Marmans and Victoria Dönecke with 11 to go. There she is, bright smile and a good day at the office. Next up, returning to World Cup action after skipping a couple of races, is our world champion on this track last February, Canada's Hallie Clark. And she's had a storied World Cup career as well. Season 1, she slid for the USA because of all of the confusion that was going on in Canada. Slid last year for Canada in season 2 and returns as a Canadian this year. 5:49 getaway, only the 12th fastest start. (2600s) behind Victoria Dönecke, becomes 3500s, becomes 3400s. Best speed of all, though, in the Kreisel. Still, she's got to find a 1/3 of a second. That's an enormous margin for anybody, never mind a non-German slider. 2100s, running out of ice. She's tied, she's in the lead, she's not running out of ice. Where has this come from? What speed from Hallie Clark!
Hallie Clark überholt Victoria Dönecke, 800. Vorsprung.
Wow! Wow, Hallie Clark!
The world champion of the last year. Applaus hier in Winterberg.
And that is the nature of this track. If you don't give away speed early on, the last few 100 meters can be magical. Look at the way she's rocking and rolling down through the labyrinth. Half off the sled, but just giving it all the beans. Hallie Clark, the world champion in Winterberg 2024, is our leader with 10 to go. For Italy now, Valentina Margaglio. 10th place. Is she getting her season back on track? 19th in the World Cup standings. One of the fastest starters in the business. Best result this season, 12th place in the opener in Pyeongchang. This is like turning the clock back 3 or 4 seasons to where Valentina was 20 to 12 rather than top 6 or 10. 3/10 over Hallie Clark, 4/10 over Hallie Clark. Keeps it clean out of the Kreisel. It's going to be absolutely key, and does. Out of corner 9. Stabilising the sled now, legs akimbo, look at that. With the heels apart, Katie Uhlaender style. Aerodynamically, it's more advantageous to have your heels together. Speed is not there, but she has the lead by 100.
Valentina Margallo, new leader, finish time after
wow.
1 minute 57.
But with her feet apart, wider than the shoulders, that's to stabilise the sled, to get the knives at the back of the runners to grip with the ice, to stop it skidding sideways. But it takes speed away. Through the snow there, low down. And that slows her just as much as it does if you drive your car through snow. And again in 11, rising, falling, rising again. Less than ideal, but she will be no worse than 10th. Best result of the season. Can't believe that. Cannot believe that. Next up, 9th place after the first of our 2 heats, Great Britain's Freya Tarbit. Another of our race winners this season. Freya won race 2 in Pyeongchang after teammate Amelia Coltman, who won the previous day. Big hit into the zero curve. Well, 5:55 first start, 5:62 in the second. Look at that, 17th best velocity. She's our 17th starter. That hit in zero made her the slowest through the speed trap. I'm afraid it's going to be a yawning gap at the end. She's got the best speed into the Kreisel, but she's gone from 3200s behind Valentina Margallo to 6700s behind her. Now she's turning that deficit around, but said it before, I don't think this time I'm going to be wrong. I don't think there's enough ice left. Still 3700s back. Third best speed, not enough. Not enough. And it's so tight she drops 4 spots. 58.93 for Freya Tarbit, and it all went wrong before corner 1. A hard, crunching impact on the zero kink. I'm sure the boys will show us that again. So she loads, and maybe she just got spat a little bit to her left, to our right as we look at it out of that start spur. That has happened to a number of sliders. And then, boom, straight onto the take-on of the corner. And effectively, basically head-on into the wall. That's what it felt like for the speed, I'm sure. Not the second run Freya wanted. The queue for the kisses grows. Next up, Nicole Silveira of Brazil, 23rd off the block, 8th at the line. Great view of the needle spikes on these sprinting shoes that they're all using. 5:52 getaway, finds another 700s compared to her first start. She drove really nicely in the first heat, smooth, quiet, no skids, minimal contact with the wall. That's what it's all about, keeping that speed on board. Now, Valentina Margallo started a quarter of a second faster. So the deficit's gone from 0.2 to 0.4, but second best speed. That's quicker than the Italian leader. From the Kreisel on down, Silveira needs to be flawless to make this her lead. Has she got the speed to do it? Gap's down to 0.3. Gap's down under 0.2. She has got the speed to do it. Fastest of all. Is there enough ice to take the lead at the line? Not quite enough. Cool, says Valentina. 100th in it. There's a partner, Kim Marmans from Belgium, offering her congratulations. Well, a nice looking run again from Nicole Silveira of Brazil. Not quite enough ice to undo the starting advantage of Valentina Margalho. So the Italian has the lead, the Brazilian into second, ahead, tied rather with Canada's Hallie Clark. They're both 100th back.
Next track is clear.
So now you either beat Valentina Margalho or you drop 3 places behind Margalho, Silveira and Clark. Kimberly Boss, winner here in December 21. Winner here in January 22, winner here in January 23. She's won the last 3 World Cup outings on this track. She is unlikely to win today, but where does she end up? 5:38, 8th fastest start, quicker than her first heat. She definitely knows how to get the best out of this track. Bromley sled is tailor-made for her expressly. 6th best speed into the Kreisel. Not sure that's enough. Only 1500s back, only 1200s back. 7th best speed. Top 3 sleds are covered by 100th. She's 300s back. 7th best speed, is it enough? How close? Kimberly Boss at the line, 800s in front.
Kimberly Boss, finish time 1 minute.
This is such a crazy track. Behind, in front. And it just creeps up. She will be no worse than 7th. Kimberly Boss, the new leader with 6 to go. Olympic silver medalist 2022. Last year's World Cup champion Kimberly Boss. Eighth and 9th in Pyeongchang, 6th in Beijing, 5th in Altenburg, winner in Sigulda. Kimberly Boss leads, 6 to go. What an opportunity for this young lady. Anna Fernstedt grew up in the German program, same as Kim Marmans, based in Königssee in Bavaria. Now sliding for the Czech Republic. She's won medals for Germany. Could she possibly take a medal here for the Czech Republic? 1700s off the lead, tied for 5th, 600s out of the medals. 1400s back. She's bringing the deficit back. Was 1900s behind the fastest starting Dutch slider. Now she's tied for the lead. 3rd best speed, quicker than Kim Boss. Anna Fernstedt is going to lead at the end of this run. She knows where she's going. She designs her sled around her own style. Best speed of all at the bottom. Anna Fernstedt with the lead. Top 6 finish guaranteed. And And she could. She just could. Sixth in the 2018 Olympic Games, a silver medalist with 2 bronze medals as well as a German slider. About half a dozen years ago, converted to sliding for the Czech Republic. And now she leads with 5 to go. Dare she dream? All right, Anna Fernstedt leads from Kimberly Boss, 5 to go. Hannah Neisser, 27th at the start, 5th at the bottom. Started a 10th slower than Anna Fernstedt in the first heat, starts 400 slower than her in the second. They were tied to the 100th after the first run, so this will be monumentally close. It's former German slider versus current German slider. The Olympic champion Hannah Neisser. 900s back, but better speed than Fernstedt into the Kreisel. Not by much. Not by much. Not by enough. Second best speed. Freya Tarbit was fastest at that speed trap. This is going to be very close again. They were tied to the 100th in the first heat. It could come down to that again. 1:27.1. Very quick indeed at the line. 200's back.
Bleibt vorne. Hannah Neisser mit einer Zeit von 1:56 auf Platz 2.
Anna Fernstedt overturns the Olympic champion by 200ths of a second on German ice. It'll be a top 6 finish at the very least for Hannah Neisser, the World Cup points leader in the yellow jersey. Three podiums, silver in Pyeongchang and Yangqing, bronze in Altenburg, 4th in Sigulda. Her worst result, 6th place in the season opener in Pyeongchang, there with her mum, with the family. Great to see a 4-time world champion and a former winner on this track enjoying her life in retirement, Tina Hermann. Always a joy to be around. And one of her lifelong arch rivals, the hometown queen, Jacqueline Lurling here. Hermann is from Berchtesgaden. Lurling is from BSV Winterberg, a sliding club here. 5:58. I say Lurling, I meant Pfeiffer, of course. So Jacka, 19th fastest start in the field so far. She's our 22nd starter. But like Tina Hermann, it's not how you start. They didn't win World Championships, they didn't win World Cup races, and in Jacka's case, an Olympic medal with their start. They do it with their driving, and look at her form. Little legs akimbo moment there, just having to rein the sled in. 5th best speed. Gap's growing. Gap's growing again. 2/10 back, she's not going to catch Anna Fernstedt. She's not going to be 2nd, she might not be 3rd. She's 4th at the line. Anna is 1 away from a medal. Well, I'm pretty certain that Jackie Pfeiffer and Tina Hermann will have spent a lot of time with Anna Fernstedt in their formative years of their career. They started around the same time and will have been teammates certainly in the lower categories as well as in the World Cup. So Anna Fernstedt leads for the Czech Republic. Olympic champion Hannah Neisser in second. Kimberly Bosser, three-time winner on this track, in third. 3 to go. There's going to be a big story at the end of this, no matter what happens. Mystique Rowe from the USA, 800s in hand over Anna Fernstedt. And a 5:28 getaway, what a big start. Third fastest in the competition. Victoria Dönecke of Germany, 5:20. Still the fastest start. And Mystique now needs to carry that speed. Dropping out of 5. Okay, she's got a similar start to Katie Uhlaender. Legs parallel, slightly more than parallel with the sled. Trying to compensate for not having quite as much height as some of the other athletes. Good speed lower down, but she's dropping away. 3100s up, 2700s back. Where is the speed? Across the line, the 16th best run, and Anna Fernstedt's in the medals. A medalist for Germany 3 times. She is now a medalist for the Czech Republic. Okay, Angela Stahlhacker, Ken Childs. Has anybody else taken World Cup medals for 2 different nations in women's skeleton? I'm thinking immediately Hallie Clark. As soon as I said that, why did I even ask? But Mystique Rowe, oh my goodness, what on earth has happened? Just no speed there at all. Some days it's your day, and some days it isn't. She drops to 9th with 2 to go. So, Amelia Coltman, a winner in Pyeongchang, 2nd after the first heat. Anna Fernstedt leads. Anna Fernstedt is already in the medals for the Czech Republic. Let's see if Amelia Coltman can take her 2nd win of her career and of the season, and the first of the new year. 100th off the lead from the first heat. 5:45 the getaway, 5:44 in the first heat. Well, she's got a decent advantage, and that's extending because of her start advantage over Anna Fernstedt. She started a 1/10 of a second quicker than the Czech slider. Oh, little bump onto 6. Did that in the first heat as well. Nice arc through the Kreisel. Little late flop. Gap's coming down. Gap's gone. 400s only. Not enough speed. Amelia Coltman's not going to hold on here. Fernstedt was quick at the bottom. Oh my goodness. They're going to go mad in the leaders box. They're going to go mad in the grandstands. They're going to go mad in the truck. Drops to 4th, 58.91. Anna Fernstedt leads with 1 to go. If she was ever going to win anywhere. Well, Amelia Coltman slips out of the medals. 1 to go. It'll be a top 5 finish. Her season continues to impress. More experience will give her more consistency. She's going to be there, isn't she? But that 5-6 transition took speed away. And she was skidding a little on the run down to the Kreisel. Look at that, head buried. Good form. And finally, Janine Flock. If she finishes in the top 3, she will be the most successful World Cup slider in women's skeleton history. Mickey. I don't know if Janine's nervous. Mickey Grumberger, has he put the sled in the wrong start groove? Or has she just changed her mind at the final moment? I doubt it. Can she win here? 5:51 getaway. Austria's Sammy Meyer led after the first heat, took silver, his best ever World Cup result. And if Janine takes silver, she will become the most successful podium finisher in women's skeleton history. Currently tied with Tina Hermann, who's here to watch. 1700s ahead of Anna Fernstedt. 1500s ahead of Fernstedt. Speed is good. This is going to be close. 1900s up. She's got a little more in the tank. Is it going to be Anna Fernstedt's day? It looks like it's going to be Janine Flock's day. It is going to be Janine Flock's gold. She's going to become the most successful female skeleton slider with a gold medal. And Anna Fernstedt takes silver, equals her best ever World Cup result, but for a completely different nation. Janine Flock, her 40th World Cup podium. She is the most successful woman in the history of the sport. Her 11th win.
Endlich!
Finally. Endlich. Yes. Well, she just missed out in Sigulda, but she's done it here. She is getting stronger and stronger and stronger, faster and faster, healthier and healthier. And there's the result. Congratulations from the three Brits. And of course they know her well because they share a lot of training time together with the Austrians. Janine's sled built by Matthias Guggenberger, who also builds the sleds with Martin Stukurs, the Dukurs brothers, for the British team. But today, well, big stories written. Janine Flock takes gold, her 40th career World Cup podium. She is the most successful woman in the sport. Anna Fernstedt, the silver medal. And Hannah Neiser takes the bronze. Kimberly Boss, 3 times the winner here, just off the podium. 200s ahead of Amelia Coltman, a couple of hundreds ahead of Jackie Pfeiffer. Valentina Margalio rallying superbly to 7th ahead of Nicole Silvera and Hallie Clark. And Vicky Dernicker, the fastest starter in the business, a top 10 on her 2nd World Cup debut, this time on her own on a skeleton sled. Mystic Road, Kim Marmons, Freya Tarbit. How close is this finishing order? Look how tiny some of these margins are. 100th here, 200s there. Fantastic stuff. Now, Shannon Galea disqualified, unfortunately, after the first heat. A little too late arriving in Parc Fermé. But it was all about Janine Flock and those results. And what a way to do it. Not just getting onto the podium, but accelerating away from the rest of the field to take a victory, her 11th World Cup win and her 40th World Cup medal. I'm sure somewhere down there in her blue Bundespolizei jacket, Tina Hermann will be on her way to congratulate Janine Flock. Janine, 2nd in the World Cup standings, closes a fraction more on leader Hannah Neiser. Kimberly Boss remains in 3rd, ahead of Freya Tarbit. Jackie Pfeiffer, though, drops from 5th place, a spot as Amelia Coltman climbs above her. They swap positions. Tabby Sturker also with Kim Marmons behind her, moving up the order. Marmons and Nicole Silvera both moving up after missing the race in Beijing. So some entertaining racing today, and it is not over yet. Skeleton Day continues this evening with our nighttime race, the mixed team competition. 1 male slider, 1 female slider in each team. You can have more than 1 team per nation. But for the individual races, we are done. Teams competition will be live at 1800 local CET, 1700 GMT, and that is lunchtime Eastern, 12/9 Pacific time. Wherever you are, join us for that. 1700 GMT, and that is in 2¼ hours from now.
So, bitte vor die Startreihe für den